We live in a fast-paced digital age where everyone lives in their own echo chamber, but the tactics and techniques of propaganda have been improved, refined and expanded, mostly propelled by the advancements in technology and the tools available. From influencing attitudes, behaviors and perception towards a particular cause or position, propaganda has remained consistent, but the methods of delivery have dramatically evolved. And now, about this. Almost a decade ago, I was doing marketing, communication, and public relations. I know, it's weird and awkward, but I love it. Applying that to technology was what made me an evangelist, but one of the things I tried to understand first was the principle of propaganda. For that, there was a true reference, a great book by Edward Bernays, also known as the father of public relations, published in 1928, titled Propaganda. He argued that propaganda, employed skillfully, could be instrumental in altering politics, driving societal change, and promoting equality. He exemplified this with his work for the tobacco companies, turning smoking into a symbol of female emancipation. Yes, almost 100 years later, it sounds ridiculous, but nothing at its core changed for propaganda itself, only in the means and methods. In today's modern society, where people are always connected, things happen live and in a second. The influence of propaganda has become more pervasive and complex, even more complicated to detect and understand. We are currently marked by fake news, blurred lines between truths, fiction and alternate facts. The advent of social media platforms, the online ads, the algorithm that is being used to promote and show content to users have offered propaganda new tools and techniques to shape public opinion and behavior. But going back to Ed Bernays' book, we should always ask fundamental questions about the source, authority, purpose, beneficiaries, and the messages of propaganda to comprehend it better. Having this knowledge is important to understand where propaganda is being used to promote a product, a person, or an idea. This new generation of tech-savvy users doesn't care about the old methods of propaganda, the posters, the newspapers and pamphlets, or even the traditional broadcast media. Tailored tribal propaganda is now the norm, delivering maximum impact for specific audiences, helped by the algorithms that promote it, which creates a specific challenge to identify it as propaganda, and therefore bypassing critical evaluation. On the other hand, artificial intelligence and machine learning technologies have also created the deepfakes and synthetic media, which can create highly realistic and manipulated content. All of that has alarming implications for propaganda, as these technologies can be used to fabricate convincing narratives that support a specific cause or discredit an opposition viewpoint. Don't get me wrong, the principles of propaganda still exist at this new age of digital platforms. The simplicity of the message with emotional appeal, often repeated to exhaustion, full of tribal symbolism, even demonizing opposition ideas and associated to compelling actions. They do represent biased views. That's the goal of propaganda back into 1928, or even now, exploiting cognitive dissonance and delivering confirmation bias. This sounds quite familiar, doesn't it? Propaganda leverages theories like social identity theory, where people derive parts from their self-concept from group affiliations, and cultivation theory, which is when a long-term exposure to media can shape perceptions of reality. But how can we defend ourselves against propaganda? Well, the first step, as usual, is to acknowledge that right now is everywhere. There's always a twist, a reason behind something. So we need to question rationally everything. Not going conspiracy theorist here, but that critical thinking skills and having media literacy is very important in our digital age. Question the source, verify facts, resist the urge to share unconfirmed information. In short, the influence of propaganda in today's digital age is quite profound and very pervasive. The techniques and tactics applied by propagandists, and I was one, may have evolved with all the technology available, with algorithmic help, but the underlying objective is still the same: to influence perceptions, attitudes and behaviors. Now, I do sound one of those TikTok influencers giving free help, but staying informed, vigilant, and trying to ask the questions I mentioned to identify propaganda is the best power people can have over their digital life.